Ugh, okay, I guess it's about time for this. I know it has taken me entirely too long to make this, but hey, now we're on theme for the video. I'm still not playing Starfield again. I still have not booted it up since the end of October. I find it quite hard to be very motivated about it for reasons I'll discuss in a minute. But, because of that, you will once again watch me talk about Starfield while playing an entirely different game in the background. This time, it's going to be some test footage from my newly overhauled 1650 mod Skyrim load order. Just bear in mind that I'm typically on the bleeding edge. My load order is absolutely packed, and so, while it is an excellent example of how far the engine can be pushed, it is not necessarily an excellent example of how refined and polished a modern load order can be. For example, most of the cool movesets are my characters. I haven't gotten many for the NPCs yet, so this starts off with me testing the new EVG Clamber mod, or as I call it, the stair climbing mod. It also covers, sloped surfaces, though. I've wanted something like this since I was literally 13 years old, so it's super cool to finally see it like it's actually real. Anyways, after that, I mess around with a new axe moveset I got, and generally just admire the scenery with my new EMB preset and weather mod. I could really go and spend the entire video just talking about all the cool new shit that I have this playthrough, but I'll try to stay on topic. Also, forgive the wonky camera movement. I'm new to smooth cam. I'm an old geezer stuck in his ways, and I'm only just moving on from customizable camera, so I'm still getting used to that. Back to the topic at hand. So, Creation Kit's been out for a couple months now. We finally crossed that mythical threshold, and impressions so far on the kit itself are good. I've had no issues with it so far, other than it does use a whack ton of memory, but that's okay, I've got plenty. And it does take a while to load, but it's definitely an improvement in the user experience in addition to all the upgrades. I haven't spent that much time with it myself yet because I've been focusing on learning how to animate with Cascadeur. I don't really know how it's pronounced, but it's an animation software. It's really nice, I like it. So I don't really have anything to share with you today as far as what I plan on making goes, except for this. So this is my custom Skyrim assets folder. I got a few things in here, but what I'm mainly working on right now is this Sneak Idol. Right now I'm working on the female model, but when it's done, it'll be unisex, so anyone will be able to use it. Speaking of, thanks to KRZP1, Kurzip1, for the animation rigs. Otherwise, I would not have been able to do this nearly as easily. So thank you very much for that. But basically, right now it's kind of in the opening stages. I'm still learning. If there's any actual animators, you're gonna laugh at me. But this is how you start, okay? So, basically, it's just kind of looking around. I'm trying to do some stuff with the fingers there, but I'm still just kind of learning that. So, yeah, we are getting places. I am actually making progress, believe it or not. But it will be a while before I have anything that's ready to release. But we are getting there. Like I said, I haven't even booted up the game since the end of October, and I think I'm gonna have to really heavily mod the game with what's available before I'll even know what I want to add to it. So, still waiting on that. However, I feel like I almost need to make this video now because the perspective in Modder's perspective has changed a bit. Not fundamentally, I am still adamant that Creation Engine is not the problem. I do, however, retract pretty much everything good I said about Bethesda in my initial defense of them in the first video. At least, the parts that I hadn't already retracted in the second video. First of all, there were a ton of people, not just in the comments of my video, of course, but everywhere around the internet, who insisted that the reason there were no ground vehicles in Starfield was because they were impossible with Creation Engine. And each and every time someone made this assertion to me, I responded that not only do I think they are possible, but I didn't even think that mods would be necessary. I thought they would come with the first expansion, similar to how mounted combat came to Skyrim with Dawnguard. And, look, man, I'm just saying, right now it seems like I did indeed 100% call that. We know that there is a ground vehicle, we just don't know when it's coming, but I think the first expansion is probably a pretty safe bet. Small little update, I recorded most of this video about a week ago. I've just been busy, haven't had time to edit, get all the B-roll and stuff. There's been a little update. Turns out I wasn't entirely correct. It's not coming with the first expansion. It came yesterday, August 20th. So it's free. It's in the game. You can go get a ground vehicle right now. It looks pretty solid. It's got, suspension. It's got pretty good looking physics. I mean, it seems like a solid vehicle. Looks like something I'd rather drive than the SRV Scarab in Elite Dangerous. I mean, it can't be worse than that. So, and in addition to that, take a look at this. It hasn't even quite been 24 hours yet, I think, since the update rolled out. It might have been a little more. But look, there's already 3 custom vehicles on Nexus. You can get a NASA rover, or you can get a Jeep, or this sort of kind of Mad Max looking kind of style thing. Like kind of a monster truck, whatever. So yeah, I mean, it hasn't even been a day. So, I mean, I think we're gonna be seeing some pretty cool stuff here in the very near future. So, I mean, you know, do whatever you want with that information, but perhaps I do have a point when I say that Creation Engine's limitations lie not in the code of the engine, but somewhere deep in the bowels of Bethesda Game Studios. It is still the best option for modding, and I believe that the fact that Witcher 3's Red Kit released 3 weeks prior to Starfield's Creation Kit and still got immediately blown past by said Creation Kit when it finally dragged itself to the finish line almost a month later goes even further to demonstrate that. And before I move into this next little segment, I just want to make it abundantly clear that I am not in any way meaning to talk down on the Witcher mod community in any form whatsoever, nor am I some hater of Red Kit. Okay, I think that CDPR's choice to release such a tool, no matter how late, is great for everybody. A modder is a modder, and I hold all of them, especially those who share their creations with others, in the highest esteem. And I am thrilled that said modders have such a powerful new tool at their disposal, because I know exactly how great it is to have something like that for your favorite game. However, what I am trying to show is that when it comes to being a powerful tool that literally just about anyone can pick up and start learning how to use on their own, while also being very forgiving of amateur mistakes and simultaneously being powerful enough to make an entire game from scratch if you so choose, Creation Engine and its associated kits are simply nearly impossible to beat. Now, we need to come to what is to me the saddest part about this video. I would like to remind everyone that in the weeks following its release, Starfield was seeing over 1,000 files uploaded to Nexus per week. And that is not a number that, as far as I'm aware, has ever been topped or even matched. And now is the part where I have to show you the damage that Bethesda's tardiness has done, and for this I will be using Witcher 3's mod workshop on Nexus and Steam as a comparison point. Hello everyone, welcome to my desktop. So as you can see, we've got both the Nexus and Steam workshops for Witcher 3 right here. Now, something to keep in mind is that a lot of these mods are going to be duplicates of each other, right? Because some people uploaded their mods to both the Steam Workshop and the Nexus. But to give Witcher 3 the best possible chance, we're going to assume that all of these are unique mods. So we've had 91 mods uploaded to the Steam Workshop since Red Kit released, and in the same span, which was 5/21/2024, that was when Red Kit came out, to today, there have been 279 mods uploaded to Nexus, for a total of 370. Now, by contrast, we have Starfield over here, and we're not going to be looking at the Bethesda mod workshop. We're only looking at Nexus here. Now, for the range, I did 6/12, which is, I believe, the day that Creation Kit came out, to today, and you can see there are over 1,000 results here. And if I go ahead and clear out the translations, which I didn't do for Witcher 3, it's still 978. So, you know, like, almost 3 times as many as Witcher, despite coming out 3 weeks later, and, believe it or not, having a smaller player base. My god, dude, it's so depressing. Like, well, look at that, that's so bad! Now, just for the sake of completion, I don't know what's going on here, but anyways, just for the sake of completion, we are also going to include Baldur's Gate 3 here. Now, Baldur's Gate 3 does actually have a higher total mod count than Starfield, which is impressive. Good job, Baldur's Gate 3 mod community. That's a lot of mods. But right now, as you can see in terms of new today and new this week, Starfield and Baldur's Gate 3 are pretty much neck and neck. They're effectively the same. Baldur's Gate 3's got a little bit more going on right now, but you know, for all intents and purposes, they're pretty much identical in terms of, you know, mod activity right now. But you know what they're not identical in? Player count. Baldur's Gate 3 has literally 10 times as many players as Starfield. So, despite the fact that it is only able to match Starfield in terms of, what's happening in the mod community. And again, I really want to stress that I'm not trying to shit on the other mod communities. That's really not what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to show you that Creation Engine is, in fact, the reason that Bethesda games are modded to the degree that they are, and that despite what so many people kept trying to tell me, you would not get something comparable on another engine, even when the game in question is one of the best ever made, standing against a game that is mediocre at best. So I am still coming to Creation Engine's defense, because that portion of my argument still stands, and I believe has been proven to be more or less entirely consistent with what we've seen since launch. And I think that if Bethesda treated both the mod community and the player base with respect, there is nothing wrong with them selling a game mostly to be a modding platform. I've said this numerous times. That, however, has not been the case on either front thus far. Creation Engine is not the problem. Bethesda Game Studios is the problem. And I don't know where exactly that problem is. I don't know if it's a general talent issue. I don't know if it's Todd. I don't know if it's Xbox or ZeniMax higher-ups meddling with shit that they shouldn't be. But I can tell you, without a shadow of a doubt, that the issue is in the studio, not the engine. Next up, I've addressed this before, but I'll do it again briefly, because I keep seeing people who respond to my arguments saying something along the lines of, if you admit modders are a good thing, it means that your game is bad and needs the help. Basically implying that only bad games benefit from being modded, and that if people mod a game, it can only be because the game is bad. And, well, I guess someone should probably go tell CDPR that they just admitted Witcher 3 is bad when they released Redkit, because according to numerous people, that's what that means. Now, as sad as this state of affairs is for Bethesda, I am still quite resolute in my original argument that Creation Kit is very probably the best mod tool ever created, and now that we have said tool, much of what Bethesda does from this point forward is fairly irrelevant to me personally. I will not use their mod workshop, and I will never charge for the mods that I do put on there, because in case it wasn't clear, I have never had any sort of interaction with anyone working at Bethesda, past or present. And I'm sorry to go off on a bit of a tangent, but I just remember several months back, it was around January, I saw a Steam thread about my original video. I found it by accident. I swear it was an accident. But I was looking for news about Creation Kit one day, and there was so little news about it that discussions about my shrimp-ass original video were actually a top hit at one point. And someone in there alleged that I was probably saying what I was saying because I was on the, quote, paid mods team. So I just want to go on record that no, that is not true and never has been. Furthermore, I have never given Bethesda so much as a single cent for anything made by a modder. Literally not once in all my 13 years of doing this. I haven't bought Anniversary Edition. I play on a pre-Anniversary Edition version of Skyrim. I don't use the in-game workshops, free or paid, and I have never once opened the Skyrim's creations menu. I don't even know what the interface looks like. So I just want to be crystal clear that absolutely nobody is making, encouraging, or incentivizing me to say any of the things I've said in these 3 videos. I speak for myself and no one else. Okay, tangent complete. Now, if you happen to watch the previous videos at all recently, you may notice that my attitude and overall demeanor here may seem a lot more jaded sounding, and that's just because it is. I mean, as much as I'm glad that Creation Kit is working well for the people using it so far, and as much as I understand that the beta testing purgatory we've been in since February was probably necessary for the launch to have gone as smoothly as it has, I just think that the fact that said beta testing came so far post-launch has done irreparable damage. At the end of my first video in this series, I addressed Bethesda directly and said, I guess that leaves us with a final takeaway for Bethesda. You guys, hurry the fuck up with Creation Kit 2. You must keep this momentum going. You have to. You cannot afford to drag your feet on this like you did with Fallout 4. I understand that it's a big thing to do, and that it takes time, but you really cannot wait 6 months again, like you did last time. So, chop chop. And this situation we now find ourselves in, ladies and gentlemen, is exactly why I said that. All of my predictions in the previous videos were based on the assumption that Creation Kit's release would come no later than around March, which was reasonable because the wait had never exceeded that before. So once we rolled into April and still had nothing, I knew that this was going to be like a serious uphill battle to return to anything even resembling the absolute bonanza we saw on Nexus in the early weeks of Starfield's launch. Now, I don't want to be all doom and gloom and everything. Like, I don't think Starfield is, like, history or anything. I'm sure it'll probably make a small comeback of some kind when Shattered Space and maybe the future DLCs come along. But they just took so long and let the mod scene die so completely before finally releasing the kit that I just don't really think that is ever going to be what it could have been. If they had released the kit back when the Starfield Nexus was pulling over 1,000 new file uploads per week, as it was for the first several weeks of the game's release, I absolutely believe that the trajectory of this game would be entirely different from where we are right now. I don't think Starfield can surpass Skyrim anymore. I think it has maybe a shot at passing Fallout 4 in the long term, but that's really my best case scenario at this point. But make no mistake, the reason for this is not because of the engine. It is because Bethesda has mismanaged the rollout of tools and communications with the mod community at pretty much every possible turn. As for whether or not I think it's going to bring anything near to the number of people we saw initially back to the game and to the mod scene, I highly doubt it. What we know is that the expansion story takes place on a single planet, and while I am happy that they're finally choosing to make one highly detailed planet rather than 1,000 empty ones, I struggle to imagine that this one additional planet, even if it is chock full of good shit, is going to solve most people's issues with the fact that there's almost nothing unique to do on any of the others. And the claim by Todd that it is Far Harbor size also isn't tremendously encouraging to me, at least not on paper. Because, I mean, even if you're only doing one planet, Far Harbor was not a large island, and there was not what I think is enough content to populate an entire procedurally generated planet in that DLC. Even though I do quite like Far Harbor. The atmosphere with the fog and shit is great. So, that's really all I've got for Shattered Space at this exact moment. And that is to say, serious concerns and doubts that it's going to be able to change that much about the trajectory we're now on. Now, I guess I should wrap this up talking about the whole paid mod thing, and really all I have to say about it is what I've already said about it. I will have nothing to do with it, and I never have. I am of the opinion that modders paywalling some of their content on Patreon and stuff, that's acceptable. I think that's fine, I don't have an issue with it, and I am a patron to several Skyrim modders myself. But I don't feel that Bethesda should have any involvement in that transaction, even if it's their legal right to be involved in it. At least not with how they've conducted themselves. I have never personally been a fan of Creation Club as a concept. In fact, shortly after they announced it, I released a mod called Sarcastic Dragons Creation Club, and it was just a vendor in the Sleeping Giant Inn that would sell you random shit that you'd normally get for free. And then I posted that to the Bethesda Workshop, which was separate from the Creations menu at the time. Now they're all just one menu, but, anyways. Though, to be clear, I'm not directing this dislike in the direction of modders who take part in it. Like, I want them to receive payment. Trainwiz, Eleonora, please don't hate me. I love you both. But it just doesn't sit right with me. So I'm not going to interact with it. Fuck the Creations menu, Now, with that said, I was prepared to tolerate it going forward if Bethesda executed all the post-launch stuff correctly. They did not. Therefore, I will simply continue my ongoing practice of self-righteously shunning it, as I have for many years now. I can't do anything about the fact that paid creations exist, but I'm not going to let the fact that they do ruin all the other great free stuff that presently and will eventually exist. Fuck your $8 quest, fuck whatever else is on there, I don't even really know. There's so much good stuff on Nexus that I find it hard to really care. So, that's pretty much where we're at, and where I'm at. So, a lot of my focus has been taken up by work, and honestly, at this point, I'm probably just going to focus on Skyrim until Shattered Space. I do have an ultimate goal in mind now for a Skyrim mod. It's going to be a boss fight mod, and it'll be the coolest boss fight in the history of Skyrim. But before I can do that, I need to finish learning how to animate characters. Probably need to learn some light Papyrus scripting, a little bit of VFX work, maybe some audio mixing. So, it's a ways out. But I do actually have a clear vision for something really cool, which isn't something I've had in a really long time. So, work schedule willing, I could start showing some progress on that soon. So, that's pretty much all I've got for you today. If you did make it all the way to the end, thank you so much. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you enjoyed it, maybe leave a like or share it with your friends, or just leave a comment and say, Sarcastic Dragon, this video is really depressing, and well, now you know how I feel. So, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will see you guys next time. Peace out.